Okay, are we live? Are we going here? Okay, alright. I think everything is okay over here. Unfortunately, a Starlink satellite went by, knocking off my satellite dish, which is what provides me internet here in space. And I was forced to put on a spacesuit, go out into space, and retrieve that goddamn satellite dish. Thanks, Elon Musk. Really appreciate it, pal. Okay, Where were we? Yes. Okay, let's look at this. In Ukraine, where a publisher in Kharkiv was attacked by Russia, but vows to rebuild.
Оце все.
Sergei Politucci arrived at his burning printing house in Kharkiv before firefighters. The destruction caused by the mid-morning Russian missile attack last Thursday is seared into the 70-year-old's mind.
От той запах, той вигляд.
People were burnt beyond recognition, he says. The smell and the sight is still in my head.
Жахливо, що може бути.
The attack killed 7 employees and wounded 16 others. The works was the biggest printer in Ukraine and a key part of its publishing industry, producing 40% of Ukraine's printing capacity and almost half of its educational textbooks.
Оце руйнування для мене, це руйнування.
This destruction has wiped out my entire past life.
Перечоркує все моє минуле життя. І лишає
It has rendered all those years of mine and my team's hard work meaningless.
команди, якби лишає їх смислу, сенсу.
Politucci was born to a Ukrainian family in Russia and lived there for 26 years, but he spoke in Ukrainian. The printing house stopped publishing books.
Wait, this guy's Russian? I thought he was one of those people that, What? So he's a Russian who moved to Ukraine and is now getting bombed by his former country. Wait, what is this? How is this even possible? Wait a second. Am I... Wait a second. Hold on a second. Am I somehow live on Twitch right now? Hold on, chat. I'm sorry. Am I live on Twitch? I'm not even paying attention to it. How am I even live on Twitch? I don't think I'm multi-streaming, am I? No. Wait. I'm very confused. I'm very confused. I think many of you probably know by the name of Daredevil. I know Daredevil from MR chat. Somehow Daredevil 30 minutes ago. That must have been in the middle of the stream being over. I've never seen Daredevil type in this chat, but according to my streaming software, Daredevil just tipped $3 somehow through my Twitch. I don't even know how he did that. That was impressive. But thank you. Thank you very much for that. Much appreciate the support. I just realized I'm on Top Chat again because I had to reload all my web pages. Thank you so much. Elon, for ruining the stream, making me redo everything. Alright, we're not redoing everything, but this is, okay, alright, no, okay, everything's good. Alright, let's move on to this, from Global News from 3 hours ago, where a Georgian lawmaker was doused with water as Parliament overturned the president's veto on the foreign agents law. We've been talking about this for weeks. People in Georgia have been protesting over and over again. Thousands and thousands of people out there in the streets. And the Parliament has continued to push through this plan, regardless of its lack of popular support. And, well, things are getting a little heated. I guess that'll cool things off, too, so, I don't know, kind of evens out.
A politician in Georgia's parliament got splashed with water during a heated debate over the country's controversial foreign agents bill. Opposition MP Georgi Vashadze got splashed by a pro-government politician while speaking against the bill. The proposed law, which has inspired mass protests, would require nonprofits to register as foreign agents if they get more than 20% of their funding from abroad. Those groups would then be subject to government monitoring. A similar law was passed more than a decade ago in Russia.
I am impressed by the government's decision to change the foreign policy trajectory of Georgia and to take Georgia to the direction of Russia. We always had questions about their intentions, but now it's so clear. So all masks are off. We know where they take our country. It's not about the law anymore. It's about their decision to distance Georgia from the West, from the EU, from the NATO, and take Georgia to the direction of Russia and make Georgia the ally of Russia. So this is what is happening now.
Okay. I feel like I lost my rhythm somehow by having to restart everything. A little annoying. Wait, why is my stream software lagging? Oh, don't do that. I just started the stream. Oh my god. What? Okay. I'm gonna close this web page. I don't need that open. Okay. Alright, let's go to this, where, this is from 21 hours ago. We're gonna move further east into Asia here. South Korean military released about a day ago, now, this video showing a North Korean rocket explosion. Let's take a look at this. And there's another story I think I have showing a little bit more about what happened. Oh my god, yeah, my stream software is moving super slow. Not cool, man. Not cool. Anyway, the video does not show very much, as you can see. Let's go on to this next one, where it's described in further detail.
North Korea's latest failed satellite launch Monday was captured in black and white clips shared by South Korea's military. Just hours earlier, Pyongyang had declared...
Wait, my new groove, or do I need to get back? Which movie are we talking about now? I think we're referencing multiple groove-related movies before that.
plans to conduct a launch by June 4th, potentially giving it a second spy satellite in orbit. Instead, it became North Korea's third failed launch, after 2 other fiery crashes last year. The launch appeared to come from Dongchang-ri, a northwestern area of the country where North Korea's main space flight center is based. Pyongyang says the failed liftoff was due to problems with a new liquid-fueled rocket motor, but added other possible causes were being investigated. Japan alerted its residents in the south to North Korea's launch. Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi condemned Pyongyang, but said Japan did not try to shoot down the satellite. North Korea successfully placed its first spy satellite in orbit last November after earlier setbacks in May and August. U.S. space experts say North Korea's satellite, dubbed the Malyeong-1, was, quote, alive after detecting changes in its orbit, which suggest Pyongyang was successfully controlling the spacecraft, although its capabilities remain unknown. North Korean state media reported that the satellite had transmitted photos of the Pentagon and White House, among other areas, but has not released any of the images.
So yeah, things just continue to escalate in Asia right now. I think that's like the 3rd or 4th missile test or other such sort of launch coming out of North Korea in the last few months. They're not the only ones who are doing shows of force in the area, including the United States, but certainly not limited to. Oh, they can take pictures. This is very high tech. It's very, very high tech. Exactly. Okay, now we've gotten. Maybe it's good that we've restarted because this one is today our discussion of the Middle East is going to take up some amount of time, I think, to some degree. Multiple things to talk about. First, though, let's talk about the recognition of Palestinian statehood. This is from France 24 English.
It was in 1947 that Palestine had its first chance of being officially recognized as an independent state. It's then that the UN voted a partition plan that would have created 2 nations, Israel and Palestine. But Arab states and Palestinian representatives believed that the UN's plan was unfair. They rejected it, and Israel alone was recognized. The West Bank remained under Jordanian control for 2 decades, with the Arab coalition hoping to defeat Israel militarily and to establish a Palestinian state in its place. But this failed. And in 1967, the Six-Day War ended with Israel occupying the Palestinian territories of the West Bank and Gaza Strip. In the 1970s, the Palestinians turned back to the United Nations, which declared the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, as the official representative of the Palestinian people. In 1987, the First Intifada, or the uprising. It pushed the battle for independence into the spotlight.
Neither Arafat nor other person else can stop this intifada. It will continue, wave after wave, till achieving real peace through establishing our independent Palestinian state.
In 1988, the PLO declared the independence of Palestine. 78 countries recognized it that same year. In the 1990s, Israeli and Palestinian negotiators made a breakthrough with the Oslo Accords. But peace talks collapsed by 2000. As successive Israeli governments cemented their control over the West Bank, building more and more settlements, the idea of recognizing Palestine without a peace deal gained momentum. UNESCO integrated Palestine as a member state in 2011.
Abstención.
The following year, Palestine became a UN observer state. Over 140 of its 193 members have already recognized it. With the current war in Gaza, others, like Norway, Spain, and Ireland, say they too recognize the statehood of Palestine.
that number I was unfamiliar with, and I figured it would be good for us to kind of remember that there's already 140 states out of 93, she said, that had already recognized Palestine 30 years ago, or however long ago that was. What is it, 20 years ago? However, it was a long time ago, yeah. And the addition of all these other countries, and the fact is while only 3 most recently have recognized Palestine, we talked about another story earlier in the week with one of the Palestinian delegates. I can't remember, or I think she's an ambassador to, I can't remember what country, but she was saying that there are more states currently in the works and talks of doing the exact same thing that Spain and Norway are doing. All right. Leaving very few countries left, I'd point out, to actually recognize them. Considering the current sentiment out there, I think that it would could really start snowballing in the direction of just having the whole world, aside from the United States and yeah, I guess maybe the United Kingdom, maybe Canada, not recognizing Palestine. It would really even further isolate the governments I just mentioned. Although I feel like out of all 3 of those, although Britain did just completely, not just, but did leave the EU. I guess they're competing with America for who can be the most isolationist. I don't know. Was it the Canadian or the Irish ambassador? Oh, that's a good question, Badash. It's a good question. I think it was one of those 2. Damn, I can't even remember. It wasn't even that long ago we were talking about it. I should remember. I think it was Irish. I think it was the Irish ambassador, though. That's just a guess, a shot in the dark. Alright. Next. You know, I'm gonna skip this one. Let's go straight to this one. This is this was terrible. I think we're all familiar. Many of us are at least familiar with the face of Matthew Miller, who is a representative for the U.S. State Department. He held a press briefing today. Well, yesterday now. And it did not go well, I would say. And yeah, I listened to this whole thing. We're not going to listen to it all. You're welcome.
Well, we're joined now by Spain.
Oh, wait. Before we do Matthew Miller.
Spain, Norway, and Ireland.
Forgot. The Spanish...
well, we're joined now.
Spanish foreign minister spoke on Al Jazeera. Let's listen to this one. Can't skip this one.
Spain's Foreign Minister, Jose Manuel Alvarez. Welcome to the show. It's a pleasure having you with us on Al Jazeera. What, in concrete terms, does Spain recognize a Palestinian state entail?
We have recognized the state of Palestine as a full nation among the international community, with all the rights that give to statehood international law. And of course, this is the first step. Next, we have to put in place a real and valuable Palestinian state that will have Gaza and the West Bank and the one single Palestinian Authority that will have continuity of the territory and therefore connected by a corridor with an exit to the sea and a port in Gaza and the capital in East Jerusalem. And above all, we have all to join forces to bring this peace conference, to bring peace.
Did you just make a Spanish Inquisition joke?
For everyone in the Middle East. So the recognition today...
Well, was that a Monty Python sketch joke just now? If that's what that was, well played.
is for justice for the Palestinian people. They cannot be condemned to be eternally refugee people. For peace in the Middle East for everyone, including the people of Israel, and also out of pure humanity.
Fine words, Foreign Minister, but some would argue this is largely symbolic because it won't change the reality on the ground. Israel continues to flout the International Court of Justice rulings on halting those attacks on Rafah. Even in the last few hours, we've been talking about it today, we've heard that 21 people have been killed by Israeli bombs targeting tents of displaced people. How is this recognition of the state of Palestine going to end the hell that people in Rafah are experiencing right now?
There are three things. First, it's not the same thing to sit around the table when you're a sovereign state negotiating with another sovereign state, and that's why the recognition of the state of Palestine is important. Secondly, is what the Palestinian National Authority has been asking us for. Our Palestinian friend has told us it is important for us. And third, of course, this thing isolated will not bring by itself peace, but it's the beginning of a process. That's why yesterday, in the Foreign Affairs Council of the European Union, we have decided by unanimity to use the Council of Association between the EU and Israel to invite our Israeli colleague to come to explain us what is happening in Gaza and why he's not abiding by the International Court of Justice rule.
Facts. Wait, what's wrong? Is something wrong about... What's going on, Gabby? What could you possibly be coping with? You're happy about TV? I'm glad. But you're watching the stream on TV. Is that helping with seeing the detail of the stream? You're coping with TV. Okay. I'm not sure entirely what that means. But I figured just to segue us real quick here, I figured we would talk about something perhaps unexpected. Go web go. Oh, what the? Oh my god. This is very silly. Very silly.
Help! Help! I'm being repressed!
Okay. Someone mentioned the Spanish, well, circuitously mentioned the Spanish Inquisition, and I couldn't help myself. I really, truly couldn't. And I do not apologize for that. Okay, on to Matthew Miller making a fool of himself publicly. And a whole room of reporters kind of asking themselves existential type questions.
Spain, Norway.
Okay.
And our detailed implementation plan for this strategy has been articulated at a number of senior levels.
Okay, shut up, Matt. Hold on. You're way ahead of me right now, pal. I need you to go way back here. Wait, now where does he start talking? Oh, there he is. There's Matt. Okay. Okie dokie.
I'm going to start with comments on a couple things before going to your questions. First of all, as it relates to Georgia. Earlier today, the Georgian parliament voted to override the Georgian president's veto of an anti-democratic foreign influence bill that fails to conform to European norms, effectively turning the bill into law. The United States condemns this action. In passing, we've taken to the Council of Europe's concerns that the law would stigmatize actions and anti-Western EU membership. Secretary announced policy. Lincoln said last week, democratic and Western future. It is unfortunate that Georgia's leaders are choosing to forego the steps needed to advance Georgia in the Western direction that its people want. turning to Gaza.
Here we go.
We are deeply saddened by the tragic loss of life in Rafah over the weekend. Like many of you, I'm sure, I watched the videos that emerged from the fire that broke out in the camp there.
Oh my God. Sorry, we have to stop him immediately. The second he starts talking about this, I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. The what?
From the fire that broke out in
the fire that broke out. Listen to the language he's using. He's doing the media tactic that even they're giving up on now. The fire that broke out. It's this sort of ambiguous, non-descriptive language, or like inaccurately descriptive language, that completely circumvents the idea of blame or ownership to these actions, as if it's just somehow it was an act of God. It just broke out in the middle of the desert. Yeah, it just broke out. No inclement weather. Wild.
Camp there.
It's gonna get worse.
This weekend,
honestly,
those images were heartbreaking, and I know the pain that those families are suffering through must be unimaginable, especially those who lost children and those who have lost family members for a repeated number of times. As we have said before, Israel has a right to go after the Hamas terrorists responsible for the cold-blooded murder of civilians, as appears to have been Israel's aim here, and Hamas should stop hiding behind civilians in Gaza. But Israel also has the obligation to do everything possible to minimize civilian harm as it carries out its operations. As soon as the United States saw reports of this incident, we reached out to the government of Israel to express our deep concern over what happened.
Sorry, I was like reading chat. I need to go back. I feel like he said a bunch more dumb stuff that I missed.
Civilian harm, but Israel also has the obligation to do everything behind civilians in Gaza. To have been Israel's aim here, and Hamas should stop hiding behind.
Oh my God, that is what he said.
But Israel also has the obligation to do.
I feel like I've heard that sentence so many times that like my brain just didn't even like register it until like 10 or 15 seconds later. I was like, wait, did he just say what I think he said just now? Did he just blame Palestinian tent encampments for being located behind Hamas, or blaming the Hamas? What is he saying? The people are in tent encampments that literally they were directed to by Israel months and months ago. And this shit is fucking bonkers. And this is an hour. We're not going to watch the whole thing, I promise, but we are going to watch portions of this wild nonsense.
Everything possible to minimize civilian harm as it carries out its operations.
I'm sorry.
As soon as
I am sorry. That one sentence has like 10 things wrong with it. He's minimizing. We're still telling this story that Israel's even considering the idea of minimizing casualties. That is a farce. It's a farce, sir.
The United States saw reports of this incident. We reached out to the government of Israel to express our deep concern over what happened, ask for more information, and urge them to undertake a full investigation.
So we're urging Israel to investigate themselves so that they can tell us as soon as possible that they did nothing wrong. Signed, Matthew Miller.
Earlier today, Israel announced the results of a preliminary investigation and said that this strike was carried out using the smallest bomb in their arsenal, targeting terrorists 1.7 kilometers away from the Al-Mawasi area.
Wait, 1.7 kilometers? That's pretty far. So you're saying that this fire, which quote-unquote, as you put it, broke out, was completely unrelated to a bomb, and the reason is because Israel claimed it was from one point. Well, first off, I'm sorry, but the whole thing doesn't even make sense to me. Israel's claim, what the fuck are they saying? So they're trying to say that a bomb caused a fire 2 miles away, or however long a kilometer is. I don't think that's the way bombs work.
Fire took place. The IDF is continuing.
The fire took place. It just happened. Magically.
to investigate this matter and has promised that its investigation will be swift,
Oh my God.
comprehensive, and transparent.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
We will be watching those results closely. And we will continue to emphasize to Israel their obligation to comply fully with international humanitarian law, minimize the impact of their operations on civilians, and maximize the flow of humanitarian assistance to those in need.
Oh my God.
With that, Ellen, you want to start us off?
Hi, Matt. Yeah, thank you. This weekend, the death toll in Gaza passed 36,000 Palestinians. There are now 1 million Palestinians displaced by Israeli operations in Rafah and in the north. There hasn't been much at all humanitarian aid that can be delivered within Rafah.
Arguably the greatest work of nonfiction of the 20th century.
Love this. Love this woman right here. Oh, this reporter's killing it.
Within Gaza for the past several weeks. We all saw the pictures, as you said, of this weekend of the civilians on fire in their tents and the child who had their head blown off, if that was an authentic video. And today, numerous witnesses are reporting to news outlets that tanks have moved into the center of Rafah. And today we had an Israeli strike, according to the Gaza health officials, on a tent that killed 21 civilians in an area that was not an evacuation area, with 13 of the civilians as women who were therefore non-combatants. And none of this obviously has crossed the red lines that President Biden has said, or the U.S. has said about improving humanitarian
I don't want reality.
conditions. We're not going into the center improving humanitarian conditions. We're not going into the center of Rafah in a way that harms civilians. Can you tell me why it hasn't crossed those red lines? Why there aren't humanitarian?
I would also love an answer to that question.
So let me just speak because there was a lot in the lead up to that.
Oh, was it too much for you, Matt? Was it too much?
First of all, with respect to reports of tanks in central Rafah today,
I've seen those reports.
it's not something we have seen or have been able to verify at this point. I've obviously
weird, because you would think that the United States would have a great deal of intelligence on this.
In those reports, what Israel has said is that they're conducting operations along the Philadelphia corridor and on the outskirts of Rafah, but we will continue to look in that and discuss it with the Israeli government. With respect to this reported strike in the so-called safer area in the Mawasi camp, I know Israel has come out publicly and said they did not conduct such a strike. So again, it's something that we will press them for more information to try to find out what exactly, if anything, happened and where these reports are coming from and what the apparent conflict seems to be. With respect to humanitarian assistance, I do want to speak to some...
Oh my God, he wants to speak to inaccuracy? Is that what he's going to say? I forget what he says to this. This is wild.
Potential improvement that we have seen. So first of all,
improvements. There's been improvements. The dock split in half. The $320 million dock, paid for by U.S. taxpayers, has recently broken half. If nobody is aware of that, I don't even think I have a video of it in here today. But I think I saw an article relating to this, and he's talking about improving aid situation. What world is this guy living in right now?
Humanitarian assistance not getting into Gaza. There has been a great deal of humanitarian assistance that has been flowing. There has been a great deal that has been delivered into the north of Gaza over the past few weeks. Something that happened because of the United States intervention and reversed a situation prior to that intervention where almost no aid was getting into northern Gaza. With respect to southern Gaza, it continues to be a real challenge. There are a number of things that have made that a challenge. One being the closing of Rafah Gate. Two being obviously the military kinetic operations that are taking place there that make it tough. But that said, we saw a number of commercial trucks going in last week, which are not a replacement for humanitarian assistance, but are important for a number of reasons. And then the president was able to secure an agreement with
Sorry,
President
I'm just gonna push him.
on Friday to allow the UN trucks that have been in Egypt to move to Israel, make it to Kerem Shalom, and we are going to continue to work to get that aid delivered into Gaza. So to the point of your question, it is important not just that it make it to Kerem Shalom, but it make it through. And
he didn't answer the
so we
question.
have seen some of that
God damn it! I forgot. Hold on, we gotta move it faster.
a military operation on the scale of those previous operations. And if you
Oh
just
God,
look at the
wait!
number,
Nobody says
we
this
have
dumb
not
shit.
seen a military operation on the scale of those previous operations. And if you just look at
Okay, right. Okay, and the fact is, this whole goddamn press conference is like this. It is just a bunch of backpedaling and obfuscation of the facts. Okay, a red line was set up by the administration and Joe Biden. That red line was Rafah. And now we're trying to say, oh, the scale of the operation. This is the first time they've actually even acknowledged any sort of real operation happening in Gaza, honestly. It feels like, I mean, not in Gaza, in Rafah. And it's like all that he can do is sit here and say, oh, the red line's not crossed. It's just not full scale enough. There's not enough bodies, I guess, not enough destruction. Actually, he says it, and he's like, the destruction is only at, I think he says, like 40% of the residential buildings in Rafah have been destroyed up till now, or something like that. And it's just like, it's like, what? How is that not the exact definition of what the supposed red line was supposed to be, right? The fact is, I feel like writing a book entitled "The Red Line That Never Existed," right? Like, because that's basically what it is, right? With everything that's been happening here over the last few weeks regarding Rafah, in slow motion, we've all watched it happen, and yeah, it's very frustrating. But this whole press conference is basically this: him saying that it was supposed to be a precise strike on Hamas and all this other stuff, and essentially saying that shrapnel from 2 miles away somehow caused the fire, and that Israel probably didn't intend to hit a freaking tent encampment that had been there for months, that they were fully aware of. They have all the ability to know of its location. Literally, they have all of Gaza cordoned off into tiny little sections. They know where places are. And it's just ridiculous. We're not going to listen to this whole thing. We're going to move on. Because I think we probably all had enough of Matthew Miller here. Fact is, it's another 45 minutes of pretty much every reporter in the room asking him to better define what the red line means. Like, it's literally a full hour of just people being like, "Hey, Matt, it just doesn't make sense. Could you just explain it to me again? Because it sounds like that red line doesn't exist." Am I wrong? Am I losing it? Am I? I feel like I'm taking 3. And yeah. We don't need to watch the whole thing. But let's quickly look at this excerpt from it. Which Forbes
Ellen, you want to start us
for
off?
me.
Hi, Matt. Yeah, thank you. This weekend, the death
Actually,
toll in Gaza.
I just realized we just listened to that too. I forgot. We just did it anyways. God dang it. Why do I suck at my job today? It's because I'm thrown off. We were in the middle of a stream. We were going, everything was perfectly fine, and then attacked by Elon Musk and goddamn Starlink. Okay, focusing back in. Do we watch this? Oh, this one's really shitty too. Oh God, I watched this one too. This was not fun. Karine Jean-Pierre and John Kirby also held a White House press briefing about a few hours after Matthew Miller. Oh God, I don't even know if I can handle this right now. These smarmy spokespeople. Why is my life filled with your horribleness? we're gonna skip past Corinne Jean-Pierre. Go straight to John Kirby.
Strike that killed dozens of innocent Palestinians, including children. Afternoon, everybody. So I just want to, just right off the top,
a fucking bitch,
about these devastating images and reports coming out of Rafah over the weekend, following an IDF strike that killed dozens of innocent Palestinians, including children. And you've all seen the images. They're heartbreaking. They're horrific. There should be no innocent life lost here as a result of this conflict.
Is that wait? Can we hold you to that line, John? Can we hold you to that? Fact is, he's about to make a bunch of justifications for lives being lost. But wow, what a statement! There's no. Wow, I just need to have him say it to me again. What was that, John?
There should be no innocent life lost.
There should be no innocent life lost. Well, there's been tens of thousands of innocent lives lost. You know, people of all shapes and sizes and ages. And I would love to really pick his brain on what should means. Like, should we keep giving bombs for all of this? And tank ammunition, bullets,
did kill
planes,
2 senior
helicopters,
terrorists who are directly responsible for attacks.
The video volume, can I turn it up? Let's see. No, I have it full volume over here, but I can turn it up on my software, even though my software is moving slow. Sorry that John Kirby is not speaking into the microphone very well. Apologize for him.
But as we've also said many times, Israel must take every precaution.
Oh, there we go.
To do
Here we
more
are.
to protect innocent
Took
life.
him 10 seconds. 10 seconds later, after saying that there should be no innocent life lost, he defends Israel genociding innocent people in the supposed defense of innocent life. Weird.
As soon as we saw these reports over the weekend,
weird.
We reached out to the Israeli Defense Forces at various levels to gather more information, and we've been actively engaged with the IDF and with partners on the ground to learn more about what happened. I'll note
We're actively engaging. Now, oh God, I wish I knew in this 1.5 hour goddamn long speech that I listened to. Hold on. Because there's a spot where a reporter asks him a question. Trying to think of where that is.
the Israeli Defense Forces today released initial findings. There's been 1 million or so who have evacuated Rafah proper, but for Israeli operations, it won't consistent on make
come out and say that himself.
Make different decisions in terms
Here we
of
go.
support. We haven't seen that happen at this point.
Wait, actually, we should listen to a little bit of this context,
in
actually.
Rafah specifically, but in Gaza writ large. Are for Israeli.
So this is in response to something about the red line.
To this,
the president has been very clear and very direct about what our expectations are for Israeli operations in Rafah specifically, but in Gaza writ large. We don't support, we won't support a major ground operation in Rafah, and we've, again, been very consistent on that. And the president said that should that occur, then it might make him have to make different decisions in terms of support. We haven't
It
seen
has
that
occurred,
why
dude.
not have him come out and say that himself?
The president has been
Why doesn't the president come out and say that himself right now? Say, hey, red line, remember that red line? No. No, what John Kirby actually winds up saying is that he's been calling Benjamin Netanyahu. But, you know, he used to call him on his cell phone late at night when you needed me. But now Now, sorry, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna keep quoting. The point is yeah, Netanyahu's no longer picking up what Biden's putting down because it's not money; it's partial criticisms of genocide. Oh God, how dare you! Anyway, the fact is, he doesn't say that. He just says that they're constantly talking, and it's like bullshit, dude. About what? The weather? Say it out loud. Go out in public and make it clear. Stop hiding behind spokespeople. All right, we're gonna skip the rest of this goddamn press conference as it's a complete fiasco. It's kind of fun to watch them all fumble through these questions. Honestly, I almost relished it, even though it took 2.5 hours to do. Am I quoting a PDF file? No, I am not. I was trying to reference a song. I think it probably came out. God, was it like 9 years ago now? I just realized God, that's a terrible reference. Oh, God damn it. Oh, it was a reference to that. That just ruined my... What was that? Like my 20s? Damn you, Drake. Why do you suck? Why do you have to suck so much? Thank you for reminding me, Bad Ash. Ugh. Boo. Alright. Let's move on. This is, was this part of the same press conference? Either way, a spokesperson, I don't think it was. Because this is, what's her name? Oh, God. I hate my brain. Sometimes I just forget things I should stay there. They should be there. There's just too many goddamn names to remember. So many officials. But a Defense Department official was asked if Secretary Lloyd Austin is ashamed to be associated with Israel after Rafah's encampment strike. I found this to be an interesting question to have to have asked here.
On the airstrike in Rafah,
Sabrina Singh.
Was it a U.S. bomb that was used in that airstrike, or a U.S. provided bomb that was used in that airstrike? Have the Israelis been able to assure you that it wasn't?
I do not know what type of munition was used in that airstrike. I'd have to refer you to the Israelis to speak to that.
But if it was, shouldn't the U.S. be doing something to prevent additional airstrikes like this?
Well, in every single case, whenever the Secretary speaks to his counterpart, Minister Gallant, and you've heard us say both publicly from here and privately, we always urge the IDF to consider civilian casualties in any type of operations that they conduct. We're going to continue to urge them to take every single precaution and to do more to protect innocent civilians. But in terms of this particular strike, I just don't have more information for you.
I understand because I get confused with the terminology of the pier and the causeway. So that thing that was attached to the coast of Gaza has been removed completely.
It's in the process of being removed.
It will be moved to Ashdod and then eventually come back.
That's right. Think of it as the way I described it, and I tried to make it as understandable as possible, but...
Was it a bomb signed by Nikki Haley, perhaps? I saw that. I saw that picture of her signing a bomb. That was disgusting. And it's not like I had any faith or, what do you call it? Confidence in Nikki Haley with any of her decisions. But to do something like that, you really do have to just be sick inside, I think.
Obviously having a visual, it's kind of difficult. Think of that Trident pier as having like a large T, that top part of the T disconnected. So that has been recovered, but in order to reassemble everything, it's gonna detach from the coastline, move up to Ashdod, be reassembled, and then reattach, re-anchor back.
Got it. And just on
that's where I heard it. Now I remember. It was here. Oh my god. So yeah, half of the pier has just broken off and is floating in the water now. So, what a good use of tax dollars.
The Secretary, I'm sure, has obviously received.
Maybe we could have used that $20 million to bribe Netanyahu personally to stop the genocide. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here.
Briefings. I'm sure he's seen images. What's his reaction been? I mean, you know, the argument is this could not have been done without U.S. weapons. Is he proud of being associated with the Israeli military, which now appears to have killed, you know, tens of thousands of civilians and many children just over the weekend? Is he proud? Is he ashamed? What's his sort of, how does he look at the situation, I guess, from an emotional standpoint?
Look, I think the Secretary, like all of us, saw the devastating imagery that came out of Rafah. I know you saw it. You posted about it as well. With anything like this, with any type of strike, it's absolutely devastating to see the loss of life. And that's why in every single conversation that the Secretary has with Minister Gallant, he reemphasizes the fact that there needs to be more done to protect innocent lives.
Okay. So, no answer. No answer. The Secretary Austin, doesn't feel emotions, okay? So, write that down. Dang it, Sabrina. Okay. Just wild. He should feel shame. Most of the officials at the Pentagon should feel shame at this point. I mean, my God, you don't. You have real lack of a conscience, I feel like. But, okay, I'm not going to pass moral judgment. Yes, I will. Okay, let's move on to people who pass moral judgment for a living. Let's listen to this Democracy Now! Piece from 11 hours ago, where they discuss both the latest attack on Israel, by Israel on Rafah, as well as the ICJ's ruling to end the assault. Right, ICJ. Amy
This
Goodman.
news is funded by viewers like you. Please support our work at democracynow.org/give. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Israel's bombing of the tent camp in Rafah that killed over 45 people on Sunday, housing displaced Palestinians in a so-called safe zone, came just 2 days after the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to immediately stop its assault on Rafah. This is ICJ presiding judge Nawaf Salam.
The court considered that, in conformity with its obligations under the Genocide Convention, Israel must immediately halt its military offensive and any other action in the Rafah governorate which may inflict on the Palestinian group in Gaza conditions of life that could bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part.
The order came in response to an emergency request by South Africa, which has brought a genocide case against Israel at the World Court. Though the order is legally binding, there's no enforcement mechanism. This is Abed Mohammed Al-Attar, a Palestinian man whose brother and other relatives were killed in Israel's latest attacks on Rafah.
The decision of the World Court is a lie. They are still killing. They are planes 24 hours a day. They are martyrs and killings all the time. They are wounded and injuries, children becoming orphaned, innocent people. They haven't done anything. They were displaced from one place to another, looking for a living.
For more, we're joined at The Hague by Ahmed Abou-Foul, Senior Legal Research and Advocacy Officer at the Palestinian human rights organization Al-Haq. He was born and raised.
I love how Amy's interviewing people from The Hague, just getting prepared.
In Gaza. Welcome back to Democracy Now! It's very important to have you with us today. You know, the ruling of the International Court of Justice came down right after Democracy Now! Aired on Friday. So I'm wondering if you can start off by summarizing the ruling and the significance of it.
Thank you for having me again, Amy. This is a very significant ruling. The court basically ruled that Israel must halt its military offensive on Rafah and any other acts that might endanger the Palestinian.
By the way, just because we've done 2 streams doesn't mean I'm forgetting about your support characters. And we're going to carry them over from the first part. So you're at 18 likes, I'd point out. At least I think that's what it says. That's a 2. We already have a Cisco. 5. 5 is Morty, I think. Yeah. There you go. There's a Morty for you.
People as a group and their rights under the Genocide Convention. But the court also ruled that Israel must keep the Rafah crossing open and must allow all investigative bodies and commission of inquiries mandated by the UN to enter the territory and investigate alleged Genocide Convention violations and crimes and genocidal acts that may have been committed. And the court also ordered Israel to report to it after 1 month on its compliance with this order. It's worth noting that this is the 3rd provisional measures order. In the first one, the court responded to South Africa's request by accepting some of the measures that South Africa requested. In the second one, the court also responded to South Africa's request by calling on Israel to ensure that humanitarian aid will enter the Gaza Strip from land crossings, including the Rafah crossings and other crossings, sending a very important signal to world leaders, especially in the West, that there is no alternative to allowing humanitarian aid by land, not the American PA or any other way, including airdrops.
Yeah. No more messing around with airdrops and ships and floating piers. It is time to get really, really serious about all this. I mean, it's been time for months, but the ICJ is making that even more clear. Let's move a little bit forward here.
Of justice and to take steps to ensure Israel respects its decisions. Your sense of the impact of how Europe is lining up on this issue?
Well, some European states, as you indicated, have been saying that this order is binding and Israel must comply with it. Better late than never. These orders have been binding from the first provisional measure order, which some states, in my view, disgracefully tried to ignore or label as unhelpful. But we see also that in the West, in Europe in particular, some states are taking different position than that has been taken in relation to the situation in Palestine, including Spain, Ireland, including also recognizing Palestine, but also Belgium, Norway, and many others. So what we're witnessing now is the emergence of a different opinion in the European continent by states who are saying that this ruling must be complied with, including Germany. I think there was a statement by German officials that this order is binding. The question is how the European Union will ensure that Israel complies with this order. As you and your viewers may already know, international law does not have an enforcement mechanism, and such order is worth what states make of it and how they utilize it to ensure compliance. So the question is, will the European Union and the individual European states continue, for example, their relations with Israel and business as usual, or will we see sanctions on Israel and other repercussions? Of course, it's long overdue for Western states to impose sanctions in Israel, severe diplomatic relations, stop
Absolutely. And hopefully this ICJ ruling and the ICC arrest warrant will put pressure on not just Israel, but more importantly, it would seem, is all of the nations that have been supporting Israel. Now, what it will do for the United States is pretty unclear, but at least in terms of Europe, I do think that, wait a second, why am I on this screen? I thought I switched screens. There we go. What was I saying? Oh, that Europe is being pressured by these rulings more than the United States, I would say. Okay, let's move on to this, which is somehow I put two Democracy Now! Pieces right up against each other. Very unusual here. But let's look at this one from Democracy Now! As well, where they spoke with a reporter on the ground in Rafah. Let's listen to this.
This news is funded by viewers like you. Please support our work at democracynow.org/give. We begin today's show in Gaza, where health officials say at least 46 people were killed and more than 110 injured across Gaza in the last 24 hours as Israel continues to bomb Rafah after its forces on Sunday night bombed yet another tent camp in the southern city that was housing displaced Palestinians in an area that had been declared a safe zone. Officials say many of the bodies were charred after the Israeli attack caused a fire that tore through the camp. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu Monday called the Rafah strikes a tragic mistake and vowed to investigate amidst global outrage. The attack came just 2 days after the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to immediately stop its assault on Rafah. Meanwhile, Palestinians continue to flee Rafah amidst ongoing Israeli attacks.
We don't know where we're going. We woke up at 6 in the morning, at 5:30 in the morning from the shelling and rockets. We are going, God knows, in our situation, we don't have tents and we don't have anything. We have children with us. We have more people to transport, my aunt and my mother-in-law. They are under the shelling and I will go and get them. There is no transportation. There is nothing. In terms of means of life, this is what we woke up to at 5:30 in the morning.
I don't know. I'm just walking in the street. I don't know where to come or go. They say that we should go somewhere safe. There is nowhere safe. There is no area that is safe. Where should we go? Let the Arab world look at us now. Let the Arabs look at us and see what is happening to us. God is my suffice and the best disposer of my affairs. This is not a life. This is not a life. This is not a life. We are sick. I don't know what to say. We are walking, but we cannot walk or come or go.
For more, we go to Rafah in Gaza. We're joined by independent journalist Shrouk Ella. She lived in the Jabalia refugee camp in northern Gaza before October 7th, had been studying English at Islamic University in Gaza. We welcome you, Shrouk, to Democracy Now! If you can talk about what you understand.
Oh, God. This whole situation is just unbelievable. I can't believe we're here. It's about to be June in a few days, and, it started in October last year. They've crossed all the red lines that supposedly existed, that clearly didn't exist. Palestinians have been essentially eating literally anything they can find just to stay alive for months and months and months and months. I just don't understand how this has not come to an end. And this is 2024 we're talking about here. Supposedly the modern age. Really, it's just the killing that's got modernized.
And happened on Sunday night with the attack on the camp that was designated by Israel as a safe zone. The Israeli bombing that took out the lives of 45 people as it hit some kind of oil tank, and the fire ripped through the camp.
Okay, so on Friday, when the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to immediately halt its offense in Rafah city is a city that is full of over 1 million displaced people who came through the Gaza Strip. This is according to the Israeli army, who issued that the Rafah area is a safe area and considered as a designed humanitarian area. So over 1 million sought refugee at this city, and after the order of the ICJ, Israel is unlikely comply with the order and responded with more attacks in the area and expanding its military operation in Rafah city. And 2 days ago, it happened when they launched at least 2 rockets on a displacement camp that is quite close to the UNRWA logistic log, which is a base refers to UNRWA, and people gathered around this space, considering it, as a green area, a safe area.
Now, of course, it should be a safe area. However, if you recall, I think it was a few days ago, we talked about the fact that Israel, its Knesset, the government, I believe, passed legislation that would designate UNRWA a terrorist organization. I don't know if that actually went through all of the votes that it needed to, but we already know just how they've treated UNRWA. They've bombed them repeatedly, incessantly. So, the fact that this camp is next to one, I don't imagine would deter anybody pulling these metaphorical triggers. I would assume you don't actually pull a trigger to launch a missile, but maybe. I don't know. You get what I'm saying?
And after the pumping, the area is basically full of tents for displaced people, and the fire set on because of the tents are basically made of nylon fabrics and woods, and this severely affected in having more fire, and which caused the death toll raised until 45, and almost plus 200 got injured. And yesterday, the past night, since the midnight till the 6 a.m., the Israeli army shelled and attacked the Rafah city once again heavily, and the sounds of the explosion in Rafah were totally heard and clearly in the middle area of the Gaza Strip, and they expanded the operations more in the area, which caused in 3.
Okay. Oh God. It's just fucked. In any other circumstance, the United States and all Western powers would be condemning this outright. The fact is, it's getting a lot more condemnation in the media than many of the other strikes that Israel has been doing recently. But we just listened to more than I would have liked to of both the State Department and other administration officials all basically either obfuscating the facts or just completely ignoring previous stated policy from the administration regarding the existence of a red line in Rafah. It's all just been just to pass the buck to Israel to do an investigation of themselves to figure out whether or not what we're witnessing is, in fact, war crimes. I just find it fascinating. We wouldn't do that in, I don't think, any other circumstances like this. If I don't know, if Rwanda or maybe the DRC. Yeah, I think that's a better example. But like if the DRC, for instance, were to commit some sort of a genocide right now on a refugee camp, a tent encampment, we'd call it what it is. We would blame the DRC, and we wouldn't accept their findings in an investigation, because that would be wild. That would be wild. It would be, I mean, I don't want to make more bad analogies, because, you know, none of them are perfect. And the fact is it's just, it is ridiculous to to let the people committing the war crimes investigate themselves. Doesn't work well with the cops. And I don't know why you would do it on this scale anywhere. Okay, let's try to keep moving through this situation, as not only did that strike happen, I think it was Monday morning. It must have been Monday morning, actually, in Palestine. Sunday night here. But the strikes did not end there. Even though Israel said, "Oh, big mistake, whoopsies, didn't mean to do that," they continued everything that they were doing. They continued to strike multiple areas in Gaza, but they also have, according to Channel 4 News at BBC, they have moved tanks into the heart of Rafah, which, who was it? Was it Matthew Miller who said he'd seen absolutely no evidence to that fact? Well, these are two Western media outlets claiming that it's factual. Usually they do some amount of homework, and usually they're trying to cover for Israel and the United States talking points, but they seem to be running out of gas on that one. First, let's look at this from 9 hours ago. Genocide on Gaza. Israeli air raids rained down on Palestinians returning home near Jabalia.
After reports the Israeli military had withdrawn from the Al Fallujah area in the west of Jabalia refugee camp, residents started to return. However, Israeli warplanes and artillery opened fire at them. Dozens were killed and injured in the dual attacks. Medical crews, assisted by volunteers, are pulling victims' bodies from under the rubble. The situation in Al Fallujah is more than dire. For the 17th consecutive day, Israeli forces are carpet bombing this area. The scale of the destruction is massive, especially after the ground forces moved in. The pictures speak volumes.
Since the early hours of the morning, when people began to return, Israeli forces have been targeting them. We have recovered a number of bodies. We, paramedics and ambulance crews, are also targeted by armed drones. A minute ago, artillery shells fell in the area, killing more people. Although it is very dangerous, we are not deterred. We will do our best to help evacuate injured survivors.
This is what Al Fallujah looks like. Although it's very dangerous to be in this area, we came to document the aftermath.
Okay. Let's talk more about this tank raid in Rafah.
Earlier today, northwest of Rafah, more broken bodies, more blood in the sand of the now forever displaced. According to local emergency services, at least 21 people were killed, 64 injured. At the end of this footage, a child on his knees rocking back and forth over the body of a woman. A cluster of tents were hit close to a field hospital. Gaza's health ministry said 17 of the dead were women and children. The IDF said they were not responsible for this strike. Ahmed Nasir, originally from Gaza City, had to collect the bodies of his extended family.
The strike was just there. We ran towards it to see what happened, and the second strike happened here next to us. We came and found about 6 or 7 of my relatives, some of my cousins, their husbands.
I love how everything that can be perceived as a war crime can either be explained by it wasn't us. That's like, I feel like the first one. Number 2, Hamas made us do it, and or I guess the third one was just whoopsies. That's been the last one. That's the least credible of the 3 pretty incredibly incredible arguments that they seem to kind of just circulate depending on the evidence.
Children. People are settled here and are safe. They have nothing to do with anything. These are displaced people, my relatives, all of them are my cousins.
This is Al-Mawasi. It's just a few miles west of Tal al-Sultan, where at least 45 people were killed on Sunday night. The UN Security Council held an emergency closed-door session this afternoon to discuss the incident. The Rafah offensive is now in its 3rd week. What happened here near a designated humanitarian zone has turned international unease into outrage. The shape of the Rafah offensive was as close as the international community had to a red line.
On Sunday night, we eliminated senior Hamas terrorists in a targeted strike.
The IDF said today that they'd killed 2 senior Hamas.
They're still using the word targeted? This is wild. This is wild.
Operatives went on to imply that the initial strike had ignited weapons being stored in the vicinity.
Following this strike, a large...
After this, I don't think Israel can ever use the word precision or target ever again. They seem to just kill anything that moves.
Fire ignited for reasons that are still being investigated. Our munition alone could not have ignited a fire of this size. I want to repeat it.
Oh, we couldn't have done it. Couldn't have done it.
Aren't I a good guy?
Good God. Good fucking God. Alright, we're moving on from this. This shit is wild. I cannot listen to a single second more of this bastard talk. Okay. Let's go to this one.
Hello, I'm Ben Brown. Welcome to Verified Live. 3 hours of breaking news. Let's start in the Middle East, and Israeli tanks are now reported to have reached the very centre of Rafah, the heart of the city in southern Gaza, as Israel carries out its most intense bombardment of Rafah since the war began. Hundreds of Palestinian families who were already displaced have fled temporary shelters in Rafah following airstrikes and tank fire by Israeli forces overnight.
Oh my God. We're just going to skip past this one too. This shit is pissing me off. Good God, BBC. Hundreds? Hundreds? Really? No, it's more than that, pal. It's so much more than that. And I feel like you have to be intentionally, you know, like intentionally saying the wrong thing to be that wrong. Hundreds of families. I think that, you know, the 800,000 people that fled encapsulate more than 100 families. I could be wrong. Okay, we're just gonna move the fuck on from the BBC today. Who are just, ugh, I'm hating them. Yep, okay. Let's end with this. We've already talked enough about this. We know what's happening. Israel has, in fact, even if they don't really want to talk about it, they had to put in their headlines not to be completely unjournalistic. So at least we've talked about the fact that Israel has invaded Rafah by tank, which was, I think, the thing that the State Department and the Biden administration keep telling us is the biggest of the red lines, because that's been the historical invasion tactic, even though they've flattened most of the buildings by bombs. I don't know. It's just one of those pushed goalposts that's been finally caught up with. Alright, let's end with a couple of things here. First, let's look at this. We looked at part of this previously, but it's finally on YouTube again. And I figured we would watch just a snippet of this, just because this shit is so wild. Alright. It's from a little channel called Zateo.
And this is not, again, fringe figure. 90 to 100 million evangelicals in the United States. John Hagee's one of the biggest figures. He's invited to White House events. He's invited to U.S. embassy openings. Imagine if a Muslim was saying this stuff.
Imagine if a Muslim says, it's like, we need to destroy Israel. And then the next day, he's hosted by the president of Egypt.
Imagine a college kid on campus is saying, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. We're told that's genocide. This guy is proposing wiping out multiple countries in the Middle East. He's a favorite of the Republican Party. And by the way, this is the most important point. He's an anti-Semite. I'm Mehdi Hassan.
And I'm Bassem Youssef.
And we are not kidding.
We're not.
We're not.
We're
Bassem,
not.
welcome back.
Are you leaning into this hoodie thing?
Oh, God, I knew it. The minute I put this on in my hotel room this morning, I thought, Bassem's going to make a gag.
I'm coming here.
Yeah,
like,
who are you?
I'm just
are you
like,
back to being a doctor
I'm
again?
being respectful.
I feel like you've got bedside manner. You're back to being a doctor
That's the only
again.
shirt I own.
Well, you look at it. I don't know what happened here today. I went informal, you went formal, role reversal.
Yes.
Good to have you back.
Thank you so much for
You've
having
been
me.
so busy traveling the world. I had to do an episode without you.
And you found a replacement for me already. You got Sami Obeid.
Sami was fantastic.
I
Very
hate
funny.
him. I hate him because he's so good.
He's very good.
He can make jokes about math.
About math.
How many people can do that? He's brilliant.
I've never come across anyone who's done it successfully.
Yeah.
No, we missed you, but you've been busy. You've been your tour's over. You're back here in LA. We are in Los Angeles.
Okay, just gonna skip ahead to them talking about this stuff. I think it starts from here.
Which is one of the holiest sites for Muslims in
No,
Jerusalem.
are you saying that those people are using religious ideas in order to push political agendas so they can bring
But
back?
I thought only Muslims do that.
They can bring back.
No, they can't, Bassem, because they're not Muslim.
Jesus and the end of the world.
No, you're
no.
not.
I thought we are the only one. We're
Bassem.
the crazy ones. No, don't tell me.
You've jumped
I do
ahead.
not believe you. I do not believe you. No.
You've jumped ahead, my friend.
Okay.
Because we haven't even got to Jesus yet. We're talking about our Jewish cousins. Let's wait till we get to our Christian cousins in a moment.
Well, both of them are waiting for some kind
So
of
they're
Jesus.
waiting. Muslims are waiting too for a guy.
We
Do
all.
you know who the Muslims are waiting?
Al Mahdi.
Yeah. Not me.
But also Jesus.
But also Jesus. Jesus
Yeah.
has to come before Mary. Before we get into the deep religion, this is not a religious discussion.
Maybe it's you.
I want to be clear. Neither of us are religious scholars.
You are the Antichrist.
Neither of us are religious scholars. Okay. But this is important because right now we're seeing a lot of violence, not just in Gaza, as you pointed out in your initial viral Piers Morgan appearance, West Bank, occupied West Bank, East Jerusalem, we've seen a lot of violence. And a lot of that is to do with these Messianic folks trying to storm the Al-Aqsa compound, trying to get, sovereignty of the Temple Mount. And just what's fascinating is there's a bunch of cows at the heart of this. And you talk about, we don't need to hide behind me. Well, let's hide behind CBS News.
Let's hide behind CBS News.
In a recent speech, a Hamas spokesman blamed the Jews for bringing red cows to the Holy Land. The cows he's talking about at a secure, undisclosed location are these, red heifers, to be precise. Some Jews and Christians believe they're the key to rebuilding the historic Jewish temple in Jerusalem and to beckoning the Messiah.
So just to be clear to the viewers and listeners at home, I just want to be clear about this. There is a belief in some Jewish circles that in order to rebuild the temple, the third temple, because there was a first and a second temple, they believe, the second destroyed by the Romans in 70 AD. In order to do that, now, before the Messiah gets here, part of the build-up to that is finding a red heifer, a female cow that's never been milked, never been pregnant, never worked, never been yoked to a cart. And that cow has to be completely red, not even 2 hairs can be non-red, otherwise it doesn't count, very hard to find. And that cow has to be found, brought to Jerusalem, burned, overlooking the site of the Temple Mount. The Mount of Olives is one such site. And when they burn that cow, they look at the book of Numbers in the Old Testament, which talks about this prophecy. Well, it talks about the use of a cow to purify the priests. This is what Moses and his brother Aaron are told by the Lord in the book of Numbers. They believe that in order to burn this cow, they're then purifying the ground, purifying the holy space, purifying the priests who will come and build the third temple. That's the role that the red heifer plays. And they now say they've got 5 of them. They claim they were going to burn it on.
Yeah, this is basically a religious. I almost want to call it like a conspiracy theory. Many scholars dispute this and say that you can't summon this by. Anyway, point is, this is a belief that's not just held by a few, but by basically all of the members of the Likud and many Israelis. It's pretty wild, and it's just one among a bunch of fringe sort of, yes, religious prophecies. Thank you. Yes, fucking prophecies. People need to stop looking for prophecies or trying to make them come true. That is just, it needs to stop. But to finish our day here, great job everybody. By the way, made it this far. And you made it to 2 different streams, at least some of you, many of you, most of you. Let's look at this last video just for a giggle. Since we were talking about him in this last video, let's listen to a guy by the name of Sammy Obeid, who makes jokes from time to time.
I love being Palestinian. I do. I love being Palestinian because it's the one identity that you bring up and is instantly controversial. I'm edgy. I told the guy I was Palestinian. He was like, oh, Palestine, that's a made-up country. I was like, what? He was like, Palestine, that's a made-up country. I was like, I heard you the first time. He's like, yeah, well, I heard it's made up. I'm like, yeah, like any country? Gotcha. What country is not made the
I don't want reality.
up? That's how you get countries. You make them up. It's very easy. Step 1, you make up a name. Step 2, you pick a jingle and a dance. Step 3, you pick out colors for your flag.
Yep.
And if you can't wave
Those are
that
the
flag in
steps.
certain places, you find a fruit that resembles those colors. You put it on social media. Sometimes you got to fake it till you make it. I asked this guy, I was like, what's your name, buddy? He was like, Clarence. I'm like, that's a made-up name. Might want to check in with your parents, bro. I think they made that up on you. Clarence, bro. No, Palestine is a very real place. I've been explaining this to Americans for many, many years. Palestine, formerly a British colony. Huh. Reminds me of somewhere I know.
Weird.
America. Same stepdad. Who would have thought? We have a similar origin story. Don't you think that when the United States first came out to Great Britain as the US of A in 1776, that we faced that same level of no, you're not? We're like, hey, Britain, we're the US of A. Try to stop us. And Britain's like, well, that's a made-up country, isn't it? And we're like, Britain, stop. You're gaslighting us. And Britain's like, well, that's a made-up word, isn't it? And we're like, no, Britain, we want to be a country. We're going to be a country. We're a country. And Britain's like, well, you're making that up. And we're like, okay, fine. Well, here's a made-up weapon. It's called a gun. Bang, bang. And we fought a made-up revolution based off of a made-up document with made-up scribbles on it. And that's how we got our made-up country. Because it's all made up.
That's exactly how it happened.
It's all made up. Everything.
Arguably the greatest work of nonfiction of the 20th century.
And Clarence's parents have a real good marriage. Yeah, they're probably doing great. Ireland is the only real country. Hashtag history. Okay, I'll look that up.
It's called Using Your Imagination. It's very fun. I highly recommend it. You know what's crazy? In this world that we live in order for a country to first become a country, there's a rule that basically before the country can even be considered as a country, 5 people from that country have to meet up, sign a document agreeing that it's a country. 5 people. That's crazy. Do you want to know why that's crazy? Because I made it up right now, okay? You make stuff up.
Oh my god, BCAT is making 8 Mile references. I didn't even pick up on that sauce. Wow. Wow, that deserves one of these. Well played.
It takes 5. You heard it here first. Chicago is a very easy place to talk about this. Probably the biggest Palestinian population in the country. Okay? Little Palestine. Deep dish manish. Have you noticed there's been a lot of watermelons on social media lately? Yeah? I know Americans are like, I didn't know summer fruits were already in season. Is there some kind of watermelon harvest going on? The watermelon is a symbol of Palestinian identity. And it's not because we like the taste. Who doesn't? Okay? It's because there's a story behind it. After the 1967 war, Israel occupied the West Bank and Gaza and made it illegal to wave a Palestinian flag. Think about that. From 1967 to 1993, 26 years, a Palestinian could not wave their own flag in their own homeland. So, illegal. As usual, Palestinians found a way. And someone noticed that the Palestinian flag resembled the exact same colors as the watermelon. Yeah, red, green, black, and white, which is quite good luck to find a fruit that resembles a 4-colored flag. A lot of countries don't have that same luck.
So true.
Like India would have to be a cantaloupe.
Oh.
Mexico could be a strawberry.
Yeah.
A fresa.
Yep, that's
true. Put a bird on it.
Yep.
And the United States would be a popsicle. Because that's the only red, white, and blue food.
That's a fruit.
I checked. And it's fitting because we're not too keen on eating fruit out here.
It's true.
I actually wanted to make sure that joke was entirely accurate. So I Googled red, white, and blue food. And the first thing that comes up, a popsicle. And not just any popsicle, a specific popsicle that we make here in the United States is called a bomb pop.
Yep. Yep.
We have a popsicle called a bomb pop?
That's exactly what it's
And
called.
it's shaped like a rocket?
Yes.
When I saw that, it was
Been
like,
around
am I
for
writing
decades.
a joke or is the joke writing me?
Oh, God.
It's shaped like a rocket, and we feed it to our children.
Mm-hmm.
Are we okay?
I don't know.
We're feeding our kids weapons for dessert now? Rid of the Second Amendment. We've even militarized frozen desserts. That's our contribution to the culinary arts, Le Bomb Pop. It's a real thing. The bomb pop was created in the United States in Kansas City in the 1960s, specifically during the Cuban popsicle crisis.
We also gave the world the double down sandwich, okay? That is our major culinary contribution. You're welcome.
The timing was not coincidental. It was basically our way to flex on Russia. I'd be like, yeah, Russia, you don't want to look in our freezers, bro. You're not going to like what you see in there. Talk about a Cold War. They called it a bomb pop because I guess nuke pop was already copyrighted. And I'm surprised these didn't spread around the world. I'm surprised there wasn't a big popsicle proliferation problem. Although I did hear that in 2003, Iraq had popsicles to mass destruction, but I heard that was just a rumor. They melted before we got there. Like, what? This is just serious. But I think about this a lot. I think about the bomb pop a lot.
Yeah.
Because Palestinians have been stigmatized as being violent, as being terrorists. When Palestinians' symbol of identity and resistance is a watermelon. If you've noticed, the watermelon's being posted all across the world on social media, on shirts, on pictures, on keffiyehs, in order to basically spread awareness of the Palestinian cause. It's a weapon of resistance. The main Palestinian weapon is a sweet, tasty dessert. Meanwhile, America's sweet, tasty dessert is a bomb on a stick. And so I'm shocked every time one of our warmongering American politicians has the audacity to call another country a threat or a terrorist. It's like, bruh, check your freezer, dude. You got warheads in there that you're gonna suck on. Do you understand? When the brain freeze hits, let me know.
Look, those warheads are delicious and a part of the fabric of America. God damn it! All right, just kidding. But wow, man, Sammy Obeid coming with the truth and the jokes. Honestly, I wasn't even aware of that. Where the story of the watermelon actually came from. I just knew that it meant Palestinian freedom. But wow. Like, the fact that it was because the Palestinian flag was banned for a quarter of a century in Palestine. It's just a cool story. All right, what is? Oh yeah. Well, we got through another one. It was a arduous and slightly bumpy journey. But thankfully we have such a beautiful space fans. Together we've gotten through, well, most of the night. Still a few things coming up in the super secret after stream. Well, that's it for me. I'll see you next time. You stay classy, Galactic Stream Nation. Can't forget this. These are the Galactic patrons. Gabby, Goth Dogs, Aaron W, Mitty, PB, Robot Cat, Morbius Dragon, The Anti-Corporatist, Boanoap, Nadia, Vincent Morales, and Donald James X. That's right. All these individuals that you see in front of you have made the right decision in life. And for a few dollars a month, you can do the same by clicking that link in chat. Why not support the Galactic News Network while also gaining access to fantastic benefits? It's a question that you have to ask yourself. Alright, however, we got more stuff to do. We have a galactic UN vote to do still.